Now the next 4 verses, I thought I would do something different for the first time, and that is ignore them. Because what's happened is Muhammad has got hold of the idea of a spiritual path. And the problem with this is it gives an excuse for the discriminating mind to run rampant. So really we have to dismiss these next 4 verses. But let's just read them to show you what I mean. 484. Of how many kinds is knowledge, O leader? How many moral precepts are there, and forms of being? Whence are the families born of gold and jewel and pearl? Now I suspect that these verses, this verse and the next 3, refer to the Buddhist training, the threefold training of body, speech and mind. And this one's to do with mind. How many kinds is knowledge? Why be bothered about how many kinds? It's so that you can get on with this idea of a spiritual path and get to higher and higher, ever refined levels. And in order to do this, you have to practice your moral precepts. So we need to know how many moral precepts there are and forms of being. How many stages of purification can we go through? Can we become godlike beings? Can we sink down to hellish levels of being? And so on. Whence are the families born of gold and jewel and pearl? And again, I don't know what the specific reference is here, but obviously we're talking about a notion of purified beings. So pure that they're not even born of human birth. They're born in some transcendental realm. So all of this has got nothing to do and is of no help whatsoever in enlightenment practice. It's simply the discriminating mind given carte blanche to go on discriminating in the name of spirituality. So we'll dismiss this verse. Verses 485 and 486 are to do with speech. The bulk of the precepts are actually given over to speech. So verse 485, of whom is speech born? Whence is the differentiation of beings? Whence are the sciences, offices, arts, and by whom are they made manifest? 486, of how many sorts are gathas? What is prose? What is metre? Of how many sorts is reasoning and exegesis? So rather than just get on with it, Mohammedan instinct wants to know is, where does speech come from? And speech seems to demarcate different types of beings. And these beings participate in various activities, sciences, offices and arts. So again, going in the completely opposite direction to true spiritual practice, getting caught up in ideas about what you need to do, getting caught up in ideas which got nothing to do with what you need to do. Verse 486 is to do with grammar, poetry, prose, which is the basis for reasoning and explication. These things are sciences of their own, sciences of logic, of oratory, and whatever. So that's speech. And 487 is to do with the body. How many varieties of food and drink are there? Whence does sexual desire originate? Whence are there kings, sovereigns, and provincial rulers? So food and drink is supposed to affect our mind and body, especially to do with sexual desire. I I think meat, for example, is supposed to inflame the passions. And this last one, whence are there kings, sovereigns and provincial rulers? Perhaps this is a metaphor, but probably not. This refers to a hierarchy of rulers that keep the external body in its place. So we can dismiss all these questions and see them as an example, as a warning that spirituality is not something to be thought about, it's something to be practiced. And recently I said in these videos that there's actually no such thing as enlightenment. There's only enlightenment practice. Enlightenment is something you practice. It's not something you reach. It's not something that you gradually work your way towards by following certain techniques. You realize it, and then you keep realizing it. You actively realize it. Rather than indulging discriminations, you keep coming back to the awareness which is hearing this. You keep coming back to pure being. You do what you need to do, and you're mindful not to make a drama about what you're doing. I'm finding these teachings particularly useful these days because my body's giving me a great deal of difficulty. I'm barely mobile and in a great deal of discomfort, even distress. I was going to talk about this in some detail, but I have to put these teachings into practice every moment. And what this means is being aware, being mindful of everything that's going on. I seem to have this core, this rump personality that's come to the surface. It's this primitive troll, a primitive troglodyte creature. That's nothing more really than a ball of pain. It's driven by a superficial lust and a tremendous sense of feeling sorry for itself. It's intensely self-centered. It's there wanting to suck my awareness, or to suck awareness into it. So I'll maybe say more about this another time, but these teachings are 100% practical. We get away from ideas and put them into practice. So Mahamati in these last 4 verses is showing us where we don't want to go.